I'm Corbett Wall with DV Auction, here with your feeder flash for Wednesday, January the 13th, brought to you entirely by DV Auction. Tell you what, our bull sale season's coming up right here. Be very, very busy from now through the middle part of April, but have a lot of sales on there. If you guys are interested in buying some replacement breeding stock, be sure to go on to dvauction.com and you can browse and shop through our online catalogs there of the sales we got coming up. We've got over 300,000 registered users on DV Auction, so if you're thinking about having an online sale for your production sale coming up this spring, better hurry and get a hold of us. We'll get it booked. If you need video work done on your bulls, we can do that. We'll get you set up with an online catalog where people can go on there and look through there. You know, DV Auction is the oldest and still the biggest broadcaster of real-time auctions. We have over 7,000 of them annually, over 1,200 big production sales there, but we do more sheep and goat and deer sales, and a lot of our competitors do bull sales. But you know, we're there for you. Stuff will work. We can have it in about as rural a place as you guys want to have it. It's affordable. You can open it up to so many more buyers there. You know, we've got 22 full-time employees with DV Auction. We're not just somebody running around with a camera and a computer. We've got a full office of tech support to make sure everything will work. We got a full office customer service to make sure that you're happy if you're consigning a sale with us, or if whenever it's sale day and people are trying to get in to bid, make sure we have people there that enable them to get up there and do that. But we've got 50 sale representatives scattered all over the country coming up here during bull sale season. It won't be anything for us to have 35 or 40 sales on a big Saturday. But be sure and on either side, get a hold of DV Auction, whether you're interested in buying some, whether you're interested in a sale. Don't think we're going to run into you on a sale if you want to broadcast one of your auctions with us. We don't solicit cattle. We only solicit auctions, guys. So we'd sure like to have your business. But talk about Tuesday, my gosh. Bullish grain report. That's all we can talk about. Bullish grain report. Come out, snuck up on some people, others were looking for it, but had the supply and demand report come out on Tuesday there, and man, was it a big one. It was expected to be big, and it was, but they ended up, it was not just your quarterly stocks from USDA, but it's also your WASDE results, which is your World Ag Supply and Demand estimates for the whole world. So it was a big report come out and ended up cutting your ending stocks for beans, corn, and wheat. Now they were expecting them to be down, but they were down all and a little bit more of what they expected, and then it also had expectations about what might go on in South America. Still dry down there in parts of that country. I tell you what, it was just bullish all the way around. Of course, your grains jumped through their ass, and you know what that's going to do to your feeder cattle. They were down hard, but I thought they might be down more than that. I thought they might send them down the limit, but it didn't, which shows a little bit of strength for your feeder cattle. But man, it was a big one. But what's going to happen now because of your grains going up so much? That's what we wonder. You know, your out front live cattle contracts down the line, they were supportive. So if you're looking at it, you might think that folks are going to get fed up with the cost of gains rather quickly and start selling their cattle a little bit quicker. Well, that's going to be a big hump to get over, especially as we go through the first quarter of this new year and we start running into a lot of cattle that we have market ready cattle. But if we've got cost of gains pushing over $1, and you guys, you know, think, oh my God, there's no way we'd ever have cost of gains over $1. Tell you what, if you're not feeding those cattle right next to a feed bin, it doesn't take that long. You get down here in the southern plains, you're a long ways from those big stockpiles of corn, And it doesn't take very long. You put freight on that, you can get some big cost of gains, especially on heifers, or you throw a storm in there or something like that. It wouldn't take long to get them over a dollar. Well, that's averaged out over the whole feeding term. If you get some cattle with a lot of compensatory gain, with a lot of condition when they first go on feed, you can have really cheap cost of gain the first 30 days or so. But and guys don't like to get the big cattle up and check weight on them, because it does shrink them a little bit, and then chousing them and all that. You never want to do that to big cattle, but you know how inefficient those cattle are when they get to those monster weights. So if people would just start marketing them before they get to 1,400 pounds, let alone 1,500, 1,600 pounds, that would make a big difference. And then we know that our supplies of market ready cattle are going to fall off pretty progressively and pretty fast after we get through the first quarter. Well, it's causing people to jump on those far out back in live cattle contracts, and that could give some support at some point. But man, it's just going to be tough sledding here through the first quarter. Costs a lot more to feed these cattle, and it's going to be tough on your feeders for a while. But then you get down the road a little bit, and then your feedlots realize that it's cheaper to buy a lighter weight animal and replace that big inefficient feeding animal. It hasn't been that way for a long time because our grains have been so cheap. So could be supportive down the road for these feeder cattle. But I tell you what, you guys that still have big feeding type calves, and a feeding calf is one that's just so big that you can't do anything else with him, too big to turn out. It's going to be kind of tough here, and as we go forward here through the rest of your winter sales. But your corn futures, Chicago Board of Trade futures on corn, March contract was up the limit 25 cents, 5.17 and a quarter. Your after hours was up a bunch too, way up in the teens, almost 20 when I checked. Your May corn contract was 5.19. Your July is sitting at 5.16 and a quarter. All the rest of them were under $5. So that's getting pretty close to our next harvest. But you look at your beans, January contract was up 47.5 cents at 14.22. March at 14.18 and a quarter. May 14.13 and three quarters. All your rest going down the line were under $14. Kansas City wheat was up 28.5 cents, guys. 6.22 and a half. Oats, little old oats was even up 7 and a quarter cent. You never see that. You never see oats up that much, but they're up 3.62 now. But I tell you what, just a very bullish grain report, and as we go forward, that's going to be pretty much anything everybody's talking about is your feed costs. And with our ethanol plants down because of they stopped those back in the worst of the COVID and all that kind of thing. There's not much byproduct to cheapen up with. What byproduct you see out there is ending up costing more than the whole grain. But some people like to use it and they're still buying it. But I tell you what, it's tough sledding to put weight on cattle. Let's look at the board on Tuesday. February live cattle futures down 92 cents at 112.47. I don't know why that you're nearby. Of course, that is a February contract, but that's still our spot market is down. They don't need all that much more feed, but it is a little bit out there as we're still in early January. April down 70 cents at 117.65. We were hoping to get it back over $1.20, and now we're sitting at 117.65. But after that, it wasn't so bad. You're going out from there, and it was down 2 cents, which was June, and then you go further out, and it was up over $1.05 on your highest up on your out fronts on live cattle. January feeder cattle down 2.77, but I thought it might be worse than that. I mean, you don't see your grains jump that much, but your January contract down 2.77, sitting at 133.22. So now all of a sudden, almost all of your cash feeder cattle are selling at a premium to what your board is here in the spot month, which has been the opposite for the last few months, several weeks. March feeder cattle down 292, 133.97. You're going out from there, and they were all down 90 cents for late fall. Also down 277 as you go further out. But It's tough sledding in the feeder cattle department whenever your corn gets this high. But you look at your fat cattle trade, and we did start to see a little bit of trickle. We haven't established things yet, but we figured that they were going to kind of be hard to hold steady. I said that on my last visit. I hated to say that out loud, but that's just the feel you had on things. But your Iowa cattle feeders, of course, whenever things get a little bit shaky, they start puking them pretty fast. And they did again on Tuesday already. About 2,600 head confirmed from 107 to 110. I mean, you know, we were at $1.12 for a market last week, and guys are already puking cattle at 107. Likely some real heavy cattle that they don't want to feed another scoop shovel load to. But 173 dressed, which isn't all that bad. Nebraska, about 2,600 head also, and they were all steers and all dressed from 173 to 174. Kansas didn't have any sales. I told you that every Tuesday we're going to have this Texas cash pool. I'm really wanting that deal to work. I think it'll help the industry quite a bit. We're not getting any help trying to get any of these minimum mandated cash trade deals pushed through right now, because there's just so much other stuff going on in DC and with your politicians right now. But we need something that will help. If you guys would just give a sampling of your cattle, like I said before, ever since I started talking about this, I don't understand why every feedlot couldn't give them one pen. And I think you guys that are having your cattle custom fed ought to call out and say, hey, put my cattle on that Texas cash pool. I want to help establish a market. So on Tuesday morning, they had 700 head, not all from one outfit. They had a pin here, a pin there. Whoever wanted to contribute had about 700 head on the button. They had several sealed bids from several different packers. Top bid was 111.02. Not that bad. Especially, you know, once the grain report come out, which I imagine they probably put those bids in before that, but still, 111.02, so 111 market, and since it's a compilation of a lot of different lots they're putting cattle in, that's as close to an established market as we have, and it's just Tuesday, guys, that we've gone through. So working through Wednesday here, I would try to hold to that 111. That'd be kind of a victory for the way things are. How about selling fat cattle at auction in a brick and mortar sale? Never thought of that. How about Stockman's Livestock, Yankton, South Dakota? They had over 3,100 head of slaughter cattle on Tuesday, selling very well. Most of your fat steers and heifers, and a lot of them were drug-free, a lot of them just hormone-free, but a lot of them drug-free too, but selling mostly from 109 to 113.50, with some up to 115.75. That's through an auction, guys, and that's the best way to sell cattle. Let's talk about your box beef cutout values. Choice cuts on Tuesday afternoon, 209.14 up $1.45. Selects 198.09 up $2.35. So your packers are kind of shoring the deal up on that pretty well. Let's talk about what else is going on. Talked to Jake Billington out at Twin Falls Livestock Commission, Twin Falls, Idaho. They're going to have a good sale there, about 3,000 head. And they've got, he said, a lot of big bunches in there, a lot of reputation consignments that they get in there. And so be sure to get a bid in there to Twin Falls Livestock. And then one of my favorite sales, South Central Regional Stockyards, Vienna, Missouri. The Patton family there, complete ownership there. David Patton, my buddy, and his boys, I tell you what, they do a good job in there. They're having one of their big sales. They don't have the biggest sales, but I guarantee you, you get south of I-70, they got the best quality that you can find, I mean coast to coast, south of I-70. They're right there in Vienna, Missouri. They feature those better cattle. You look at some of these cattle there, how could you make them any better? And I tell you what, that's really just a little haven, a little oasis of really, really good cattle right in there. They've been a DV auction customer for a long, long time. You can get on that sale, view and bid that sale at South Central Regional Stockyards, and you'll be glad you did. Let's talk about your feeder markets on Tuesday. Real-time index on DV auction late in the day on Tuesday sitting at 135.83, down 34 cents based on an 800-pound steer, and that's on a pool of cattle in that index of over 52,000 head. How about some of your big sales? Ozarks Regional Stockyard, West Plains, Missouri, 5,500 head in the barn. They had another 1,400 or so on their in-house video that they get help from with DV Auction. We can queue those cattle up and they sell them right there. And I tell you what, it hasn't slowed them down a bit, and it's really been working for them well. But in West Plains there, feeder steers $2 to $4 lower. In the Midwest and Northern Plains, it's sure been that way this week so far. Steer calves steady to $5 higher. Heifer calves steady to $3 lower. But big good sale there in West Plains, Missouri. How about St. Mary's, Kansas? Rezac Livestock Commission, Denny Rezac, about 2,000 head, typical kind of sale for them. Good comparison there. If you look at this automated report, that's the only place you'll see it. Mostly steady to $3 lower, which that's not terrible. I tell you what, a lot of pressure on these big calves selling right now. How about some other sales going up further in the Northern Plains? Philip the Giant, Philip Livestock Auction, they had their first sale of the new year on Tuesday there, and it was an awful good sale there. And they had some of the top quotes I've seen on lightweight calves, and I'm gonna give them to you right here. 99 head. 548-pound steers in Phillips, South Dakota, $180. I tell you what, it hadn't been much better than that all fall here in early winter. They also had 136 head of 411-pound steers, bring $2 even. Now that's a big time quote. Where else are they selling calves really good? How about El Reno, Oklahoma, OKC West? You think in a big market like that you're not going to get any toffee sales? No, they've had a little moisture around in spots, and guys looking for some cattle to warm up on wheat and then likely go to grass with. 75 head, 519-pound steers, $179 in central Oklahoma, guys. And the best quote that I saw anywhere was out in no man's land. Now these cattle would have had to have some hellacious condition on them, but they had some cattle sell a lot cheaper than that, but they had several deals up there about this hike running about the same time, which is the only reason that made me believe them. But Beaver County Stockyards, Beaver, Oklahoma, it's your Zach Tran top quote for the day. 52 head, 808-pound conditioned steers there, 150 and a half. That's your feeder flash for Wednesday.